This video is part 2. In part 1, I have discussed about function arguments of Vlookup, automating column index number and many things. Before watching this video, I suggest you to watch part 1 so that you can have a better understanding. Now let me use this function in a separate sheet and let us try to understand what else we can improve to use this function in a much better way. For that I have created a new sheet and named it as lookup result. I've copied few employee codes and pasted into that sheet, and also I have pasted the column headers. Column header will help me what column index number I have to use within Vlookup so that I can use columns function within Vlookup function. Now I am typing the function Vlookup. Lookup value. Lookup value will be employee code and making column constant comma table array. Table array will be the source data, that is data. I need to jump into the data and I'm selecting from employee code because table array's first column should always be the place of lookup value. So employee code is the lookup value there. So I'm selecting from employee code till end because I want to populate respective data of that employee code in that row into the next sheet. And before entering comma, I'm pressing F4 to make both the references A1 and G101 as constant or absolute, and then comma. Now I need to give a column index number. For that I'm using columns function. As I mentioned earlier, just write A1 colon B1 close bracket and make the first reference, that A1, as constant, and this gives you an index number 2, and then either you can mention false or you can mention 0 and enter. Now you got the name value of that employee code in the second column. Since I have taken all the references properly, now I need to simply copy and paste this function across. For that I'm using F8 function key, and then I will be getting extend selection mode. I can avoid using shift now. Without using shift, I can just use down arrow key and right arrow key. Now if I press Ctrl D, copying down, Ctrl R, copying right, and this way we can populate this function easily. But there is a limitation to this function. If I'm going to add more records to the source data, here I have added one additional record in row number 1 or 2, and I want to look up the information based on the new employee code, and I'm pasting it here. It is 0101. This function is not helping me because if you look at the table array is limited to only G101 and it is not changing automatically. I need to change it manually every time whenever I am appending the records. Then it works, and then I can copy paste. But this is a manual task. And how to automate this? There are two options. The first option is using dynamic tables. The second option is using dynamic named ranges. Let us discuss how to use a dynamic table in Vlookup function. To use the dynamic table reference in Vlookup function, I need to convert the source data, that is table array, into a table, a dynamic table. Currently my source data is a normal data range. To convert into a table format, I need to use shortcut Ctrl L. Keeping the cursor on any cell within the data range and pressing Ctrl L will result a table. Now this is a table and this table has got a name, table 11. To remember this table easily, I want to rename this table as salary. To rename table, the shortcut is Alt J T A and write the name as salary. Now the table is created. Now I would like to use table reference in Vlookup function. So I'm just removing the old formulas and rewriting the function Vlookup. Lookup value, employee code, column constant, comma. Instead of jumping into the data and selecting the table array manually, now I'm giving a table name reference to Excel so that Excel selects on its own. So I'm giving the name of the table. The name of the table is salary. Now you can see in the drop down the name of the table is appearing, which you can just select and press tab. Otherwise you can write completely and then press comma Now you need to give the column index number. The formula is columns A1 colon B1, which generates index number 1, and I'm making A1 constant, comma, I need to write false, otherwise I can write 0 and press OK. Now if I populate this formula across the cells, press Ctrl D, Ctrl R, the information is coming, and this is much easier way. There is one more advantage to it. For example, if I am going to add more information here, let me add another maybe employee code like BZA111 and add any name and then give some additional information. So one more record I have added, and I want to look up based on this value. If I copy this lookup value or employee code and pasting at the lookup value place, the data is now popping up without changing the table array manually, because the table is taken care by Excel. So the table will get extended whenever you are adding or appending the data and adding more records. Still the table name will be the same. So that way Vlookup formula can be automated. Now let us understand one more important trick using table reference in Vlookup function. Currently the lookup value is employee code and the first column of the table is employee code. That is why by giving simple table reference, this function is working. In case if I change the lookup value from employee code to the name, this function doesn't work. Reason? I've given only the table name as a reference, and this reference is only looking at the first column of the table. As per rule, the table array should be containing the first column as the lookup value, but it is not happening here. So we need to define in the table from which column to which column I have to look at. So which is the table array, so which can be defined with another trick, that is after the salary, just press one square bracket. Now you'll get all the elements of the table, that is all the column headers and rest of the information. Like all means entire table, data means only the numbers and the names, and headers means only headers, totals means if you have any totals from a column or row, only totals. So currently I need to have the range from name, that is the first column of the table array, and till job grade. So let me select one more time square bracket. Now I'm keeping that name in that square bracket, so that is the first column, and then column, I'm creating a range, and then square bracket, now job grade, and then square bracket, square bracket. So I'm closing the square brackets properly. Now the range is salary, square bracket, salary is the name of the table, and name is the column which is containing the lookup value, and then job grade is the last column, that is the range, total range I'm selecting, and rest of the formula will be same, enter. Now since I've selected the name as a lookup value, this function now works fine. This is reference because actually we need to change this to like this. So this column no more exists because that is not required. So that way this function works. Hope you understand. Now you have finished watching part 2 of Vlookup videos. There is one more part in which I am going to discuss about dynamic named ranges. If you don't want to use table range and you want to use only the manual range, but how to automate that manual range using dynamic named ranges. Please keep watching. And also if you like this video, please like, share, and please do not forget to subscribe, and please watch the third video. The description is containing the link of the video. Thank you.